Welcome to the Lady Nighthawk Show. And tonight I have two wonderful people that I've met through Jonathan Kirby. I met Mayor by Jonathan. He came on as a guest, and then I met his wife because he started coming on as a guest. And my hats off goes off to Jonathan as well, you know, because he used to be a regular on the show at one point, and he had a stroke or two. And he's doing better. Okay, I just want to say that to you. He's doing much, much better. He called me this morning, but I was on medicine. I ain't hear nothing. Okay, I ain't going to be at 3:30 this morning, right? I'm doing a final, right? So anyway, I want them to introduce themselves because the topic that we're going to talk about tonight is a very, very, very important topic. And recently in the news, you know, there have been some, I'm not even going to tell you what the topic is, I'm going to let them tell you, but in the news that the topic has been in the news recently with some situations that I really don't feel like it's been handled, you know, well. And we had talked the last time that they were here that we would actually discuss this topic, and then the news started showing different things that were going on on TV programs. They started showing things that were going on. I said, well, that was nothing but God telling us that we were supposed to do this. So I'd like for you to introduce yourself, and then you're going to introduce yourself, and then y'all can tell them what the topic is.
Okay.
Okay.
My name is Sheila Max. I've been a nurse now for 42 years. Been married to Mayor for almost 40. We have 3 wonderful sons, and our eldest son is autistic. He gets frustrated and confused with some situations, and I think that we're seeing more and more in the news of people not being treated with respect if it becomes apparent that they have an intellectual difference.
Okay.
My name is Mayor Max. M-A-Y-E-R is the way they should have been spelling it all these years, all of these office holders. But I am the original Mayor Max. And I am a dad of a young man on the autism spectrum and 2 other brothers. And I've also been served our country. I've served in Vice President's office in the White House. And I started a DARPA telehealth research lab at DOD, NSA. And we use that for battlefield surgical robotics. And we also work with Johns Hopkins with Dr. John Burke, and we use some of the virtual reality research for assessing children on the autism spectrum in 1997.
Yeah.
A while back.
It's been a minute.
Well, then, you know, everybody, they had them in special ed. I don't care what you had. They didn't know. They just put you in this group, and, you know, you just got there to do anything you wanted to do, and nobody really taught them anything.
So we got to meet Jonathan Kirby. We were also selected out of a nationwide competition to put on a Veterans National Adaptive Judo for healthcare program for veterans with disabilities who couldn't be accommodated, they thought, by the rest of the health system. And that was actually informed by a lot of the work we did in autism. So the work on communications for youngsters on the autism spectrum who were having difficulty communicating. We took our work for the last 39 years, and we used that for Gregory, one of our veterans who had a massive stroke and only had 2 or 3 words of speech. And we taught him to move again, walk again, speak again. As the leader of the group, as the drill instructor, while we were teaching his body how to control his arm, leg, etc. again. And we had an incident, which you alluded to, the type of incident, but Jared was at his university, and he was outside of his building where he lived, his residence hall, and he was walking down the sidewalk and drawing in the air.
Which he does.
And a car full, and he does that because he's creating animations that he's going to then create.
He's drawing things already.
That he's going to create on a computer. And a car full of kids, young adults, started following him slowly. So he disappeared behind the building because he felt threatened, came back out, and there were 5 police cars, and they had their headlights on him, and they told him We've heard that you might have guns or drugs, and we're going to search you.
Okay, put in your hands. Jared gave me a very special hug this past weekend. I got my Mother's Day hug. Jared does not like to be touched unless he is in control of being touched. So this to him was the world's
It was like
biggest
being violated.
violation.
Right. Like, yeah.
Like you were in a subway.
Molestation.
You were in a subway late at
Yeah.
night. There was nobody around, and someone just
Yeah.
took you and threw you to the ground.
Yeah.
So,
But now see, then this is what makes it so bad, because
But-
nobody heard about that on the news.
but the only it took me a month to calm down enough to talk to the university president.
Oh, okay.
To talk to him. I was down and at the university, and the chief of police faced that night at midnight. And it was in the middle of winter, and they said, well, he had on a balaclava. Kind of like the
Yeah.
young man in Colorado who was injected with ketamine and killed because they said he was
Acting
hysterical.
different.
The only reason that a large reason that Jared was not severely injured in that engagement with the campus police on his university in front of his residence hall is because we told him, whatever, if you're ever confronted by the police, show your hands, do whatever they tell you, and don't act excited. But when I got a call from him, he was shattered. And I was teaching judo in College Park. And I'm a sandan, third-degree black belt in judo from Okinawa.
Right.
And I went up there prepared to instruct somebody on
Forcefully.
on how not to abuse someone who's helpless.
Right.
And I tore a new one for the police chief, the police officers who were on scene, etc. And then I told the president of the university, who was a very honorable man, I said, he could have been killed.
Yes.
There are too many cases. A week earlier, a young man on the autism spectrum had been killed
Yes.
in Maryland in a movie theater.
Yes.
And I said, there are cases where people say, oh, he looks different. And so we had to subdue him because he had hysteria. And then they kneel on their back and they stop breathing. And it's called restraint asphyxiation. I said, they're but the lessons from his parents, his ability to hold it together while he felt he was being violated. He could have been killed.
Yes. Like Floyd.
And
Yeah.
and
Oh,
that
yeah.
was before him. And because of that, I said he has to move off of the university campus and out of his residence hall because he no longer feels safe where he lives.
Man, I can still see the rage in
And,
you.
and
Still
he
can.
we had to set up an apartment for him off campus, and he did drive. We had to drive him
drive
to
at that
school.
They have to
because
drive up
he
to
was-
his apartment.
He was
Right.
6
Drive him to-
months away from graduating. And I said,
Wow.
you will not ruin his
Graduation.
his university career and his education because he's been working at this for 8 years. I said, and this must never happen again. And the
Hoorah for
university
you guys.
president invited him to come in and sit down, and his brother came in and sat down. And the president, she used his name, it was President Freeman Hrabowski.
Freeman Hrabowski. Do you know
And
about
he's-
Freeman?
He was
He took
he was-
control of UMBC when it was a little tiny school
Okay.
for kids who majored in math.
Oh, okay.
That was it.
Okay.
Now it's
well known.
Oh, very
And
well
he was one of the leaders for the Children's March for Dr. Martin Luther King. And he helped to calm the kids when they were put into a jail for I think a week or more.
yeah.
And they were trying to basically scare the daylights out of the kids. And he had Jared come in with his brother Nathan, and Nathan sat down and he said, Jared, I want to apologize to you. He said, but I want you to know that what you did, you have all my respect.
Yes.
Said because you behaved very nobly when you were being and with great restraint when you were being treated in a way that no one should be treated and never will be treated again on my campus.
Hurrah
And
for
he
you.
turned to Nathan, who was going to the university at the same time, and he said it must have hurt you quite a bit as his brother to see that happen. And Nathan was at Judo with me in College Park. And when it was over, Jared walked out feeling like he had been the bigger person.
He was.
Like he had taken control and he was able to finish his college career because of that.
I'm so happy.
But he was shattered. He didn't feel safe to even walk on the campus.
I don't blame him, but you know, it's like that for even people that don't have a problem. So you know, if you have a problem, you really are intimidated. You know what I mean?
It can be all kinds of disabilities. What if you know, you see a lot of people who have cerebral palsy who walk funny, or you know, have some kind of limitation physically. I grew up with a terrible stutter and got teased a lot. And you don't know what any individual person's challenges are. They may be obvious, they may not be. But the thing that bothers me the most, and it's not like, oh, these young whippersnappers, it's not just the whippersnappers, it's the lack of respect. Granted, I mean, I don't care if you're 5 years old, you are entitled to a degree of respect. As a person, you should be comfortable and safe in your own body. You should not feel like you're going to be victimized because you're female, because you're this, because you're that. And I was astonished that Mayor didn't try to throw someone from a building after that.
I can look. If he's in a calm state, and that's the first time but that's the first time I've ever seen an emotion that's still in here.
It took a month to calm down enough to talk to the president, and he was very respectful.
Yes.
Because we could have said, we're going to sue you. We considered it. We could have said, we're filing a complaint with the Office of Civil Rights. We could have done that. I said, what I want is for him to feel whole. What I want is for him to feel like he belongs to this university. What I want is for him to feel he's safe and he's valued. And President Hrabowski made that happen. Now, fast forward, we've been working with veterans with schizophrenia, bipolar issues, etc.
Strokes.
And strokes. And I've always thought, well, who's there if someone is confronted by the police and the same thing's going to happen to them that happened to Jared, where he thought he was going to be thrown to the ground, and they did put their hands all over him. And so we've said to our veterans, if you need us 24/7, call us. That's what you get for saying that. 8 o'clock at night, I got a phone call. Sensei Mayor, yes. I'm pulled over on the border between Maryland and Pennsylvania. And the police are coming up to my car. And it was from one of our homeless veterans. And he said,
and he's schizophrenic.
In his van. And he said, and I know they're going to try to take me and put me in their small police car and then stick me in their small jail cell, and I can't handle that. Sensei Mayor. And he lives in the woods. Another thing is taking his bodily autonomy. So I said, here's what you do. Pull out your documents, your license and registration. Put your hands where they can see them. These are the same lessons we had to teach our son on the autism spectrum. Roll down the window, smile, don't get excited, don't get upset. He said, but Sensei Mayor, I said,
listen to me.
This was in the beginning of COVID. I said, there is this thing in the air that nobody knows about. They just know that people are getting sick and dying. I said, they don't want to put you in their little police car. And I said, and they don't want to share your air. And they definitely don't want to put you in their jail cell and share your air all day and all night. I said, so just be calm and smile. I hear nothing. 30 minutes, there are other details on it that are just too much. 30 minutes later, she said, I gotta go, Sensei Mayor, they're knocking on my window. But I thought, this is what I wish had been there for Jared on the autism spectrum in his interactions with the police, so he doesn't get pulled out of the car, thrown to the ground, and or killed. And so 30 minutes later, I called and I said, are you okay? Yes, Sensei Mayor. I said, where are you? I'm driving through Pennsylvania. I said, where are you going? He said, well, maybe Michigan, maybe California. Okay. I said, what happened? He said, well, the police knocked on the window. I rolled it down. I kept my hands up. I was very polite. And I said, and? He said, they asked for my documentation. I showed them all this documentation. They went, no, we don't want to get into that. We're just going to write you a warning and let you go on your way.
Right.
We were able to do for him because we learned from what happened with our son on the autism
Right.
spectrum.
Right.
And it's what Sheila said, it was the issue of respect.
Right.
It was the issue of preparing people to interact respectfully and not to have anyone overreact. So we offer to teach that to police departments also. And we teach veterans and folks on the spectrum or folks who have other schizophrenia or other mental health differences so that those engagements don't end up as a tragedy and both sides walk away having done their job.
And
One's
feel
a
good about
respected
themselves.
citizen,
Yes.
one is a respected police officer.
Yes, and I mean, it's just really, really bad right now because it doesn't matter. They just, I mean, it's on both sides though. You know, you got these young people out here killing everybody, okay? And then you
Yes.
got these other people that, you know, trying to do their job and because some of them have not had the training that they're supposed to
Right.
have, it gets escalated.
Right.
And so, you know, what you guys do is so amazing
Right.
that, you know, that's why I wanted to make sure that we put it at the end of the phone. I have your number on that,
Yeah.
all the things that
Good.
you gave to me at the end of the credits, okay? And he said that it was okay. His phone number's on there. And he said that, I wanted to come out your mouth though. It's okay
I
for them-
prefer you start with email.
Okay, yeah, start with email. But you said that to me the last time,
Right.
and that's all I did was
So-
just
Yeah.
copy what you put on there last
Yep.
time. But start with for email. He answers his emails, okay, but he's
does.
very busy mail, but he will answer his emails, so look
Yeah.
at the emails. Now, if it's urgent, he won't mind you calling him, okay? But please make sure that it's like the scenario that he just told you.
Oh, yeah.
Make it one of those.
That was a life safety
Yes,
event.
yes. Make it a scenario like that, not just to call and say, oh, I saw you on television, I want to have a conversation with you about no. Please, send him an email and tell him everything that you want to tell him in the email, and he will get back to you. I promise you, he will get back to you.
And the other thing is we put on medical conferences for veterans with traumatic brain injury and all of their doctors and neurologists and folks, and for people on the autism spectrum here and in Japan. And we work with the Japanese National Rehab Center for Disabilities. I won't say it again.
Yeah, please go
and
ahead.
It's the Kokoritsu
No.
Shintai Shogaisha Rehabilitation Center.
You go, Sensei. Okay.
So, but what's interesting is people tend to go, oh, I'm interested in veterans issues with adults or older folks. And
The
other
veterans
people
came
go, I'm
second.
interested in autism and I want to work with kids. And it turns out
There's
kids
a
on the
lot more
autism
left.
spectrum have similar needs, and we learn from there to teach a veteran with a stroke to talk. And folks who are on the veteran side can teach lessons on help to re-engage kids on the autism spectrum into society and have them feel more powerful. So we put together a brain injury conference. We brought together the top folks in VA, Japan, neurology, NIH. And all of these folks, experts, talked for like 25, 35 minutes. And finally they got to Jared. And they said, Jared, you know, when veterans come back and they have invisible injuries of war, blast injury, they've had a traumatic brain injury, and they're sensitive to too much sound or too much sight or interacting too much with people. It's very similar to autism. Do you have any thoughts? Jared stopped and he looked up and
very
said, well, he said, all of us are born with our own flaws, but each of us also bears our own gifts. All we ask is that you allow us to join with you and to share our gifts with you. And then he looked around and he said, that's all I have to say.
That's all. And then they asked his younger brother.
At the
he went,
end, he came up to me and he said, I don't think I said enough. The National Director for Physical Medicine Rehabilitation for VA came up to me and said, we had all these world and national experts. What Jared said in 10 seconds is the only thing they'll ever remember.
That's all they're going to remember.
So,
one thing that
impact, it was
Same
impactful.
humanity.
Yes.
and that's the common lesson.
Yes.
one lesson that I personally learned from our dear departed friend, Gregory, who could say, okay, gee,
I remember
damn.
he told me that he
And,
loved your wife.
He was a Marine and he could swear.
Yeah, he loved
He
your
was
wife.
good.
Yeah, and he was my boyfriend.
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember.
But what I had learned from Jared in dealing with other kids and young adults with autism was that sometimes if you keep talking and you don't make them feel like it has to be this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, that they will be able to find words in what you've said, and they'll be able to maybe use them to describe something that they need to say. And so I was very good at what we called autism speech. And so I'd be sitting with Gregory doing the physical therapy on his hand and on his arm, and I'd be talking to him about Lord only knows what. And he was very upset this one day. And I said, "You seem really agitated. Is something wrong?" Wrong. I said, "Oh, okay, wrong. Is it people at your residential place?" "No." "Okay." I said, "Oh, family. And I said, "Is someone in your family giving you a hard time?" You know. And he said, "Yes." I said, okay. Is it like extended family, actual blood family? Well, it finally came out, and I was like, it's like playing charades. And finally I said, "I've got it, Gregory." He kept showing me he had new shoes and a new phone. New shoes and a new phone.
And he said, "I got mine."
I got mine. Is there someone in your family who thinks that just because you got a new phone and new shoes that you should get them for him? Yes! I said, and finally figured out it was like his nephew. I said, "Tell your nephew to get his bum off the sofa and get a job and pay for his own phone and shoes." Yes. Yes. And his sisters, I said, "Oh," and he's got a number of them. Beep, 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 beep. So that got to be a joke. I said, "They still beep, 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 beep." Great. Yes. So it's all a matter of, just because they don't communicate the way we do, doesn't mean they're not communicating. You just have to find it.
So let me ask you a question, because you said it's autism talk. Have either one of you sat down and with your sons and written a book?
How many times have we been told to write a book?
You've been told to write a book.
Many, many, many times.
Yes, because it would help. It would actually help so many people, and it doesn't have to be a big, thick book.
No.
It could be a little book, with like expressions and common things, like you're telling me now. You know what I mean?
We learned with the boys that yes, Jared was all, and it's kind of weird, but I think most people think I'm going to have 2 kids. That's going to be pretty much it. But we knew that there was a definite question how much of an involved sibling Jared was ever going to be. So we had Nathan, and let me tell you, Ryan and Nathan, they are 2 sides of the same coin. But they've had their challenges. There have been times when we used to think that half of our energy was going to have to go for Jared. No, not always. Sometimes it was half for another one of them. And
They all have different challenges as they go through life.
All of them, though.
Yeah.
But all the
Everyone.
kids, everybody's different.
And you have to pay attention to each and every one.
Absolutely. Because my kids are totally different, and they have their own personalities, and they have their own ways that they react to things. You know what I mean? And so if you don't know that, then you're going to get into this.
So, So Jared is an artist, and he can do digital art, and he belongs to an autism art collective in Rockville called Viz Arts. This is a big promo. And they are fabulous. And he is one of a whole group of artists on the autism spectrum who get together, and they all work on creating art, and then they put it out and they sell it in a storefront. Viz, V-I-S, Arts, A-R-T-S, drawing in the air. And they just had a street show, and they had 3 booths full of art, and that is his world. His middle brother Ryan is a director of vaccine development and infectious disease epidemiology for North and South America for a big biopharma international. His youngest brother Nathan is a research scientist in structural immunology and immunogenetics, working on different diseases. They're all completely different, and they're all special in their own way.
And you must have been reading my mind, because we didn't get to tell how fantastic these young men are, and the degrees that they have, because all of your kids are professionals. They all are unique in their own way. just like their parents, okay? And the thing is that one of them has a PhD, right?
About to, yeah.
Ryan is finishing his dissertation while he's also responsible
Yeah.
for getting new vaccines out to North and South America.
Yeah.
Okay. And the other two have,
Nathan has a master's degree.
yes.
And
See how I remember?
yeah,
And the other
Nathan
one?
is the youngest,
Mhm.
and he went to the School of Medicine and finished a master's in biochemistry, molecular biology, and he had a research position at NIH in structural immunology and immunogenetics, and he uses that to work on immune diseases,
Cancers.
on cancers, on heart conditions. He's working on beta myosin. You know, how do your heart fibers work, and then how do you create therapies when they're out of whack, or when your genes start going wild, your DNA and cause cancer.
Yeah. And Jared has
And-
his bachelor's
and
degree.
Jared
Full
has-
bachelor's degree.
Jared has an associate's and a bachelor's from Howard Community College and UMBC.
And that was so important for you too. We didn't say it the
Yeah.
last show, but that was so important
Yeah.
because when you started out in this world with this first child, they were telling you that he could not go to kindergarten. You know, he wouldn't finish any. And look at it's an encouragement,
Right.
and that's why I wanted him to come here because we got into a little bit of it last time because we were talking about the veterans and the sensei and
They
the
all,
judo
they
and
all
stuff.
work with the veterans. Jared
Oh.
creates the art that when we get a chance, we'll show you his logo, but it shows one person lifting another
You did show
until
us.
they rise up like a firebird,
Yes.
a phoenix,
Yes.
all of them.
We had that picture. You took
Yeah.
you
We still
showed us that
have it.
picture last time.
And then Ryan and Nathan have helped teach the adaptive movement and judo to veterans with multiple sclerosis and prosthetic knees.
Oh
And
gosh, bring those
different-
boys in, and the veterans just light up like a Christmas
They
tree.
light up because they treat them all with respect.
That's right. Now, I do want you to tell
Sure.
these folks, the viewers that watch, you just got a very special award, and and you got your
A little
pin
bit
on.
embarrassed.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just very
So-
special, and I think that
So
you
we
need
have
to tell people.
we have a pin that we were just awarded at the United States Judo Federation National Hall of Fame dinner, and Sheila, myself, and really all our veterans in MindKnit research were given the Presidential Award for being able to use judo, adaptive motion, training, therapy, mental health side for veterans nationwide. And that's something we're going to spread across 8,000 judo practitioners in the U.S. And Jonathan and I, Sergeant Kirby, were just at the British Embassy. We're going to work with them with their wounded warriors
Wow.
in England in the British Royal Marines, Royal Navy, and their services.
Well, I want to say, look, I want to shake your hand because I got the presidential award. You got a presidential award, you know. And I just want
My
to say,
presidential thanks your
That's
presidential.
right, thank
He
you.
was surprised that my name is actually on.
On it.
Yeah.
Well, they normally don't. And it was awarded as a male and female-led effort
Okay.
that includes male and female and all veterans.
Well, I am so glad because you work as a team.
We
and,
do.
And which better way to honor both of you is
Right.
to have both your name on the same certificate, you
Right.
know. And so
Absolutely.
congratulations to you because
Thank
we're
you.
all in the same club.
You
okay.
bet. Yes.
All right. With that, though, I want to thank you guys so much. And
welcome.
look in the credits, and we're going to make sure that we have the you have their information and all the organizations they work with. But I want to also add, because we have suicide prevention
Yep.
and we have domestic violence on there, and so I also want to make sure that I put on there and the autism. If we did not do
Absolutely.
that, I want to make sure that we put that on there as well.
Absolutely.
I want to thank both of you guys.
It's always a pleasure.
And
These
it's
are
always a
wonderful
pleasure.
shows.
And I thank you guys. I could not let you go with another show without talking about your award that you guys. As a presidential award is one of the highest awards that you can receive. Okay, and both of you, I thank the Lord that
Team effort.
they look at it, you know, and they see it. So with that, we're gonna look at this television over here, and we're gonna wave and tell everybody good night.
Good night, everybody.